Alabama has not done a good job in literally any way when it comes to the pandemic. They actually have the highest death rate from COVID-19 in America. And so one would think if you are provided with a bunch of money from the federal government to deal with the pandemic, you should actually do that, start to take it seriously because this wave isn't over and more are almost certainly gonna come because it's America. They have a different idea. They're going to be using a bunch of COVID relief funds to construct 3 large prisons and renovate others because it's Alabama, so why not? State lawmakers began a special session this week to discuss a $1.3 billion construction project, which would use up to $400 million from the American Rescue Plan funds allocated to the state. So nearly 20% of all of the money they've been allocated, they see that money and they think, we could really be locking up more people in Alabama. So we're gonna do that. The Alabama, by the way, the Alabama Department of Corrections reported a total of over 2,000 COVID cases among inmates in their prisons already. Over 1,100 positive tests among their staff as of about a week ago. And so the case could be made that we need more space because so many people are already getting COVID in our overcrowded prisons, which is potentially true. But many point out that rather than redesigning facilities or building new ones, research indicates that decarceration can be an important tool in halting the spread of the virus. And some law advocates have urged lawmakers like those in Alabama to consider sentencing reform instead. Like if you have a crowded prison, sure, you can build a bigger prison, but you could also not lock up people over nonsense. That would be one way to do it. And by the way, not only would that save their lives, perhaps provide a little bit more justice to Alabama, it might save you something like $400 million in COVID funds. But what do I know? I'm not in charge of Alabama, Jayar.
They have no reason to save that money for anything else because this is their whole purpose for wanting to use these types of things. They'll complain about COVID funds coming to their states because Joe Biden is overreaching and he's using all this American taxpayer dollars to just waste away money. But once they get it, they don't do anything with it. Again, the entire construction is $1.3 billion. What's that reconciliation package that everyone's complaining about that's happening federally in the House and trying to get something passed? Isn't that $3.5 billion? Am I wrong, John?
Trillion, yeah.
$3.5 billion for the entire thing. This one discussion about prisons in this little state of Alabama that's overrun with COVID is $1.3 billion. But we're not gonna go pulling our hair out about how they wanna build more prisons with $1.3 billion. We're gonna complain about actually building something for American citizens with $3.5 billion. This is the discussion we're having. And we're gonna take some of that money that we could use to help citizens in the state and put it towards the prison system? Bro, no, this is the whole idea that they ever wanted to do in the first place. This is just the way it is. They wanted to, okay, so disparage the money that you get, use the money for nefarious reasons like this, and then continue to complain anyway as if you didn't. If this story wasn't reported, there's no way they'd be announcing, hey, you guys, so we're gonna use COVID funds to build prisons. They want that to be under wraps. They want that to be something they just do. Our reasons, our policies, our money, not anything to do with helping citizens. Let's just push this more.
Sure.
Who knows? Are they gonna be private prisons? Who's gonna pay for that?
Well, Jayar, I mean, it's not that they're not trying to help some of their citizens. That is a lot of money that's gonna go to some people constructing those prisons. Yeah. What if accidentally there wasn't like miles between the legislators putting the money into it and those who are gonna get the money? What if there were connections there? I mean, that's impossible. There's no way that these legislators would invest in any of these companies beforehand. That wouldn't happen.
John, that would be corruption.
It would be corruption. It would be a first in Alabama and in America. But yeah, like they get this money to actually save their constituents' lives to try to help people, and they just nope. They pay back the people to put them there. In any event, there is one extra level of this. You went through sort of the back and forth there, Jayar.
Yeah.
So Gerald Nadler, US House Judiciary Committee chairman, sent a letter on Monday to the Treasury Department Secretary Janet Yellen asking Treasury to, quote, prevent the misuse of American Rescue Plan funding by any state, including Alabama, to build prisons. So once they found out about this, they wanted to stop it because that is a huge chunk of money and that is not what the money is for. The Department of Justice last year sued Alabama, saying state prisons for men are, quote, riddled with prisoner on prisoner and guard on prisoner violence. And so when I see that, I want to stop for a second because that's the sort of thing where you see that and you think, oh my God, like they're they really need to renovate this. They need to reform these prisons, do something about it. But I don't know about you. When I see that sentence, I think there ain't a Republican in Alabama or across the country that sees that and cares at all. Like
Zero.
The fact that it's prisoner on prisoner or guard on prisoner violence, those are prisoners. Who the hell cares if they're being beaten or if they're being killed? And so it's the sort of thing where like John Oliver did a show about overheating in Texas prisons and how many people actually die as a result of it. And it's a thing where like, yeah, obviously if you care about humans, if you have any empathy, just because someone's in prison, you don't want them dying from the heat. But we live in a country where a significant portion of our population doesn't care if prisoners are getting COVID or getting beaten or dying of the heat, ever have any right to vote or anything like that. These are animals effectively. I'm just so sick of it.
That's why they know they can do it. And by the way, if you have instances of guard on prisoner violence, is the response to then open another one so we can have more of it? Your reform goes to making more of this bad situation present, rather than fixing that bad situation. I just don't get how that works. Oh, I get how it works, money. But how you can pass it off as a legitimate reason to spend more money on the same problem.
Yeah, and by the way, the governor, the Republican governor, responded to Nadler and talked about how they can't get anything done in DC, which I also love. They do so much obstruction, they make it impossible to legislate, and then they use that as an excuse to don't mess with us in our states if you guys can't get anything done. Great how that works out.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.